So with respect to parking, the first issue you're always going to be trying to figure out is whether or not you're dealing with actual permitted parking spots. Like, are these, titled parking spots? Like, are these actually somebody's property that they have, like their own individual unit, or are they, permitted spots? Are they assigned by the condo corporation, and are they part of the common property? Because until you figured out that very basic question, you really can't figure out what much to do next in terms of what's going on in that area, what rights the actual condo owner has over that property, and what powers that the corporation has with respect to that property.
So with regard to the bylaws, I mean, you could have a lot of different types of restrictions in your bylaws, or guidelines on what an owner can or cannot do in their titled stall or their common property stall, depending. You might have bylaws that say that all vehicles parked on the property have to be properly registered and insured, operable, and in good working order. There might be restrictions on owners and occupants using visitor stalls, or how long somebody can park in a visitor stall, or whether or not you can store personal property in your parking stall, like your winter tires, for example. There may even be requirements that all owners and occupants have to comply with any requests of the board to remove their vehicles on proper written notice from time to time when they need to do maintenance in that area, or parkade cleaning or sweeping or something like that. If you are looking at trying to initiate some sort of enforcement action, then you'll need to check to see, first of all, if there's a bylaw or a rule or something like that that applies. If there's a bylaw that's being violated, then you could potentially issue fines, but there's a certain process that you'd have to follow first. Now, since the regulatory changes in 2020, you actually have to send a notice of proposed fine to an offending owner, occupant, or tenant, giving the person at least 3 clear days to provide some form of written response, object to the proposed fine, or comply with whatever actions are required under the terms of the notice. So, I mean, that's the starting point. The signage is critical, especially if you want to avail yourself of any enforcement options like towing. Most towing companies will not remove a vehicle from private property unless an appropriate sign is in place, not just one sign, but probably more than one sign. So you need them at all the entrances to the property, stating that the particular municipal bylaws with regard to parking are in effect on the property. And telling people that this is private property as well, I think, is also important, especially in areas where it might not be clear, where there's potentially, public alleys and whatnot in place, and the parking areas aren't necessarily clearly delineated, or, they're faded over time, they haven't been repainted recently, things like that.